go live. Going live. Let me see if Angela's on her way. Yeah, she's supposed to. Let's see what's going on. Sure. Hopefully everything's okay. I talked to her earlier. I gotta go somewhere where I can get.
Well, it's working perfectly. Stay away from the next few problems.
Okay.
Don't put it out. We are live.
Yeah, it's
Going out.
pretty bad. They say it's pretty bad up there.
Brian.
Waited till I watched.
Yeah, I did. Do you know if,
Yeah,
I know you said
yeah.
you're putting in your schedule, you were talking about November.
They said the,
Hello, ladies.
installations.
I'm glad you're here, Ruth. I didn't see, you didn't walk in with,
Let me
did you
look
walk
at
in with,
my
stuff? Oh, I didn't. Because I was, when I told Mary, I've been thinking about you since that happened. That's sad. Just awful what's going on, you know what I mean? It's just tells you how blessed and lucky we are. You know, you take everything for granted, and there's still hundreds of thousands of people without electricity or water.
Down there.
You know,
Can I get back with you tomorrow? Because I don't remember what I did for the days off.
I'll probably send out an email, but I wanted to give you a heads up.
I want to say that I may have. The 8th is that Tuesday, right?
Right, when that's the election.
That's the election day.
Yeah.
you know, not to interrupt you guys, see how since it's like it warms up or something. It hasn't.
I don't know. I restarted the computer, and since I restarted, well,
When
I fixed what
It's
you
the
missed.
craziest.
When I first opened it,
Yeah.
it said, do you want to update now or remind you later? And I was like, I'm not doing anything with updates, so maybe
It could have
update
been
it.
something to do with an update or something. I don't know.
You know.
Use the hammer.
Be working on.
That's what I would do. The tubes.
Remember going to the store and with the big machine they had there with your tubes, you know, you put
No,
it
the
in
other
there.
one's there. Everybody
We're
has.
showing how old we are.
Oh.
We remember.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I'm
Gotcha. No,
Well, there isn't a minimum.
we had a TV that like had doors that closed.
We have
Right.
Okay.
stereo in there too. They were pieces of. Oh, my God.
You guys are in this
We're
meeting
all
now?
on.
You put it on?
Yes, that's our meeting. Yep. Don't mess with our meeting.
Brian did it, so don't ask me if it's not
We
right.
couldn't get it to work on the first one. It worked and kept going in and out again.
I think it
was
needed to
it?
be updated because it asked for an update when I first opened it, and I just said remind me later.
Okay. You need your copy of it?
Let me just go to my mail, but I just forgot to get in my mail.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying, because that was even getting
That's a song, you know, by Michael Stanley.
like snow.
Did you hear Michael Stanley? Me and Marion got tickets to the Resonators, which was his band, and so it's going to be up at the MGM. But if you, and you might know this, since there's a gentleman that plays at a lot of different places in the local area, plays at Glen Willow, plays at Brewster's, and his name is Paul Christensen. And he plays a lot of instruments, but he was the saxophone player for Michael Stanley for like 20-something years. But he'll be with the Resonators, but you can see him locally and stuff now. Me and Mary will see him, like we've seen him at Glen Willow and Bruce, and she'll ask him to play and he won't play any Michael Stanley songs because kind of it's, you know, the respect or whatever, but he's an excellent saxophone player. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's funny. We have a lot of good local bands here. How about Denise Begin and Jim Begin? They have their son, James, whose band Tropidelic is really, really good and really, really popular. He's made it big. And you know how you know too is, I'm giving you a plug, James, is, it's cute because my daughter, you know, is friends with Kevin and his wife and stuff, and James coming, they're all friends, they all, you know, hung out at the lake together. But, one day me and Marion are listening to music with this, Siri, you know, and I'm thinking, well, let's see how popular they are. So I say, hey Siri, play Tropidelic. Here it comes, you know, and it just kept playing for hours. So I think you make it when you can go, hey Siri, play. But they
I've
got,
seen them live. I've seen them live.
yeah.
The night is young, girls. We do
I was working with a guy and he says they play all kinds of different, reggae is one of those, their thing, and a guy at work says, me and my wife love this band from the Cleveland area, Kent area and stuff, and they're getting real popular, and I just said, for the heck of it, who is it? Oh, Tropidelic. So then I told him, and he works at a different place now, but he texted me, him and his wife just seen him this weekend. So that's our little trivia.
Well, we've
Kind of cool, someone right out of Walton Hills.
We've been live now, Mayor, for,
So I gave him a plug. Okay. All right, is everybody ready? Jennifer, Council, everybody ready? John? Okay. Angela?
Ready.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Committee of the Whole meeting of Tuesday, October 4th, 2022 at 7:06 PM. Roll call, please.
Councilman Nielsen?
Here.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Here.
Councilwoman Allen?
here,
Councilman Whedon?
Present.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Here.
All council present, along with our fiscal officer, Angela Rebe, and our law director, John Montello. Okay. I have an item 3 here, requested by council and Mr. Spitznagel, a motion to approve the minutes from the Information Committee meeting of September 20th, 2022.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in the, to get the minutes timely passed, I'd like to have a motion to, by the committee members to pass those minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to pass the committee minutes.
Second.
And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And we'll let the
Record show.
record show that they've been passed. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. That's item 3. A lot of mics even sound a little louder tonight. That's good. Okay. Any comments related to the agenda items? Of course, residents can ask and make comments, you know, before and after. We always allow for that. Any comments from any residents that are watching the live stream?
Not right now.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the legislation, item 5, unless council has anything that didn't mean to skip you. That you want to, okay, then we'll go right up to the legislation. Ordinance 2022-9, Smith and Obie, an agreement of understanding, mutual agreement of understanding. We would make an amendment to the original CRA. Because of the change in ownership, they're requesting an extension. They still plan on moving forward. We're hoping they come to the Planning Commission soon with their plans. They did submit part of a plan because they wanted to get it on the agenda. I did see them up there doing some surveying the last couple of days. Tom Jordan, he's in Columbus at an economic development, what is it? Conference. So I did request he send a letter. John can explain it. Mr. Montello's been working with Price Finley from Bricker and Eckler on the development agreement. So we'll just talk about that, and if anybody has any questions. I think we're gonna put it on for first reading, when I'll let John kind of explain why. But go ahead, John, you wanna talk about that a little?
Sure. It's, Smith Obie sold, their business to another company, and, as a result, the Smith Obie agreement has to be modified to to pass it on to the new company. So basically that's what this is about, and they're also asking for an extension of time. They had promised to, spend, I think, close to $2 million if my memory corrects me, and if they do so, they would have been able to get a tax benefit from the city of 49%. But because of the transfer, they're asking to delay the construction of the new facility for a while, so they won't, so it's basically, I believe they plan to have it completed by 2024. So they've asked for basically a 2-year extension, and otherwise, if they don't spend the money by, I believe the date was April of 2024, the property reverts back to the village, so everybody, we had our council review it. There's a lot of things, a lot of technical things. People have to be notified and so forth. So we're still looking into who needs to be notified because it's an amendment. I believe everybody's been notified, but we may have to notify the schools which I don't believe their consent is necessary, but we're just researching it to make sure that whether an amendment needs to be communicated to the school district. We're really not changing the terms of the tax credit or tax break. It's just
Just the extension
the other time is the only.
and the names,
And the names of the parties.
the ownership.
So other than that, I there's nothing to really notify them of, but we probably will notify them anyway. And there's like a 14-day waiting period, which is required by law. But why I think it's just to give them enough time to contact the city with any questions or concerns they may have, which could be addressed. So we may not. We're not going to pass it tonight. We're going to give it a first reading, and we're going to try to get that 14-day notice out quickly and possibly pass it at the regular council meeting. If not, we'll have to either do a special council meeting or wait till the November council meeting.
Right, and it's something we can talk about it once we get through this. I know Mr. Spitzenagel, Councilman Spitzenagel, can't make the meeting of the 18th. So maybe if we have to give the 14 days, maybe we'll think about if other members, if we can all make it, maybe kick the meeting a little down the road so we meet the 14 days. If Bricker and Eckler gets that together, that's why we're waiting for that notice from Bryce Finley. If he puts that together, we get that notice out, so we can talk about that. So we're gonna put on for first reading and then maybe see what everybody thinks. That way we could, just have one council meeting and not have to have a special council meeting, maybe that first COW. Just have it a regular council meeting, kick the council meeting down a couple days. So why don't we wait? We got another COW meeting next week. By then, we'll know what happens with Bryce Finley, and John will talk about what we need to exactly do. So we follow the right protocol there.
And one of the reasons for the delay was we had not heard back from the attorneys for Smith Obie until today, saying that that we had suggested some changes and they finally approved it today. So we couldn't really send the notice to the schools if we're required to do so because we didn't have a final edit of the changes. So
It wasn't on our end.
yeah, it's partly it's everybody, but they're not pushing us too hard. So but we'll get it done in the near future.
Any questions related to that? So it's a good thing. It's a very large company that purchased Smith and Obie, and Smith and Obie is going to stay the same name from what we understand, and they're expanding the company, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Was it a purchase or was it a partnership?
We understand they're the controlling party. Okay, so you hear kind of both sides. But with the paperwork, John, what would you say?
It looks like that they're going to be leasing, Smith Obie is going to be leasing it to the new company. So the company is going to be the landowner, from what I gather from the documents, and Smith Obie, they probably purchased Smith Obie as well. And so Smith Obie, there's probably several entities involved, for tax purposes, so they didn't disclose the terms of the purchase to us, but the assignment is going to the company. I could maybe tell you by looking at this, hang on one second here. Trio Fund will be the landlord, and the company will be the tenant. The company will lease and conduct its business operation at the project site. So I'm not quite sure how it's structured, but in any event, this is required pursuant to the terms of their purchase agreement. And-
But as you meant, as far as the company, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I forget, it's holding some big holding company.
They actually own Rand McNally, from what I understand, the people that used to make the maps back in the
Yes,
day.
that was their original company. Yeah, oh yeah, that's. The good thing we have, you know, just is that they don't follow through on the contract, the land comes back to us. You know, so, and Smith and Obie is a very good company for the village of Walton Hills, so it's a very good project and a good expansion, and I think it will look nice up there at that corner. So, we got a lot going on at the corners, all good stuff. Any other questions related to that? We'll have it for first reading, depending on what happens, whether we need a special council meeting or not next Tuesday. You know, we'll put a first reading today, and then we could, you know, just have it for second reading or suspension on the council meeting, or, which would be nice, but we might have to push that council meeting out, or we have a special council meeting that first COW meeting. We need to, you know, to get this passed. So, and we could always put second reading on the council meeting. You know, if we need that 14-day notice, we could put second reading on the council meeting, and then. So in other words, the bottom line is, if you have any more questions, we can have those answered too. Tom Jordan will probably be available for next Tuesday's meeting. I would have had him here tonight, but he was at that. As Ohio Economic Development Association Annual Summit in Columbus, which is important to us because there's a lot going on in this area, Columbus and this area, as we talked about earlier with Intel and other suppliers. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
did you want to read the letter from Tom into?
No, I don't think we need to. That was just,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
may I introduce this then? Are we gonna have this,
You can introduce it for first reading. I
Yeah.
don't have council's good
Yeah.
with that.
okay.
Okay. Any questions from any residents that are here or any residents that are watching the live stream? Did you touch it?
I kept doing it.
Oh, did it? Oh, I didn't see it.
It's been doing it the whole time.
I'm
Doing what?
just kind of,
Oh, it's just going in and out the whole time, just the camera focus.
Oh, the
Yeah.
focus?
Well, it's.
we have another, he's gonna get another camera, just because
Yeah. it
might get a
pixelated
little-
and stuff.
little thing, but gonna get a more expensive, so, okay. So we're on item B, legislation, resolution 2022-26, municipal bridge inspection program. That's from the state of Ohio. It's no cost to us.
I think every 3 or 4 years.
Yes, we've passed this before. I guess, Mr. Whedon, you guys talked a little bit briefly in the infrastructure committee meeting about it. There is no time, I mean, there's a time frame, but we're not under the committee, we're not, if we want to put that on for first reading, we can. It's a good thing. According to Mr. Gelati, I understand, doesn't feel there will be any added thing from the village, that both bridges he feels in pretty good shape. Is that what you guys got out of your committee?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody want to add anything to that? Did you want to add anything, Ray, or the committee, or?
Mayor Colgraf, we just touched on it just briefly. Mr. Gelati just brought it up that this would be an item on our agenda tonight, and
Okay,
identified the only 2 bridges that this actually, service would be provided for. One on Sunny Drive and the other, I forgot.
McClellan.
McClellan, thank you. So yeah, this is a great opportunity for these inspections to happen via the state of Ohio. That's all. We didn't really spend a lot
Okay.
of time.
John, did you want to add anything to it, or?
Well, yeah, it's a free program. They do the inspections, routine inspections to see if there's any critical findings, you know, load ratings, calculations are correct, you know, weight limits, posting sign recommendations, and other plans of action that would be necessary for the bridges. We would be responsible for those expenses, but the inspection itself is paid 100% by the state, and so it's a free inspection, and we don't anticipate any additional expenses this year, but it's nice to have them take a look at it to make sure everything's safe, and we are required to fulfill the recommendations within a certain amount of time. The ODOT expects timely implementation of the inspection recommendations for such items such as placement of weight limit posting signs, closing the bridge if considered unsafe, or placement of a rip wrap to protect against SCAR, whatever that is, SCOUR. And all inspection recommendations are related to public safety, so, and certain other things they may give you more time to comply with, but if it's a serious matter, they expect you to do the work immediately. And following 2023, we are hoping to go back to the 3-year program for 2024, 25, and 26. So for some reason, they got away from the 3-year, and now they're hoping to go back, so next year. But, so it's a free service, and why not, you know?
Well, with council, we have it on the agenda on the special meeting. We could either pass it under suspension, we can put it under first reading. I guess according to Joe there and John, if we go, you know, if we don't pass it tonight, that's okay. We do have some time. So it's whatever council wants to do.
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that we just put it on first reading for tonight.
Okay.
If we want to, we could always change it with the other program, you know, the other legislation, and do it as a special.
Mayor
Okay.
Colgraf,
Yes.
I'd like to introduce this item as well
Okay. For first reading?
for first reading.
Okay. Any questions from the residents that are here, or any residents that are watching the live stream, or anybody else? Okay. Well, then we have other business. I just have a couple items. One of them is, as you know, we didn't get any bids for our senior snow plowing. Nobody bid on our contract. The last few years, of course, we've only had one company bid on it. That person didn't bid this year for various reasons, like a lot of contractors, labor, cost, fuel. So we did, this council, we talked about it and said, well, we think we should put it out again, which we did. We did put it out for bid again. The opening of the bids are October 7th at 12 noon. That's the deadline. I don't know when we're going to open them, but the deadline is October 7th at 12 noon. So we're hoping we do get somebody to bid on it. If we don't, then there's, you know, our seniors and they would have to seek their own contractor. We hope that doesn't happen. All we can do is, you know, we put it out for bid. We don't set the price. They give a bid price. Okay, so it's not like our restrictions were too tight and they couldn't come in to meet that. We just give them the quantity and how, you know, how many swipes and all that. And then they give a bid. And then this body, you know, decides whether or not they accept the bid, of course. Well, we've accepted the bid every year from the single person. So that was a concern we had, and talking with our street commissioner, Mr. Kalman, it's not like we have too restrictive. Nobody just, it's harder and harder for contractors to bid on these jobs. So, and still making it reasonable. So we'll see what happens. I'm being optimistic, hoping we get some. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, just so it gets out to the residents. It's, myself, the administration and council, we're, we would like to see, help the residents out, and this is how we do it, but there's not much more we can do, and if we get past this, we don't want to say go to another bid, and then it gets too late in the season. The residents have to start making a decision, get somebody in place if we can't put it in place, because you don't want to try calling somebody already in December and you might not get anybody, so there's the concern there. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope, we get a good bid, or any bid. We got till October 7th, so, and then we can decide whether we go again, or what do we do, So I just kind of wanted to put it out there that that's where it's at, which I know everybody here knows. It's also on our website, the bidding thing. We advertised it in more places, Mr. Kalman even did try to call contractors who bid it before, contractors he knew, so we haven't been complacent. We tried to solicit too, to say, hey, why don't you, we got a bid, why don't you put in for it? So just want to let you know we're doing our best with that. The other item is, I know we talked about with Lori Sprague and HR partners, is about putting a proposal together for employee survey, package, see where we're at. So I know I might have a proposal on my email right now, so I'll probably something I'll be talking to you about council next week or whatever, if we get those proposals from her and look at it and see. There's gonna be a couple, like how far we go and stuff. Not a matter of all the, what's that?
Salary survey.
Yes, a salary survey. So I know we talked about it as council. It's important. As you know, the residents probably know this, and maybe they don't, but it's very competitive out there with municipalities, businesses. Not only it's tough to get employees, you got to retain your employees, because it's the climate is other communities, they have an opening now, poach from you and take your employees, and it's just so we want to make sure we're giving a fair wage, a fair benefit package, and it's not uncommon. It's been a while since we've done that, quite a few years, so it's time for us to do that. So that's where we're at. So we'll wait to see what their proposal is. And Sonia from HR Partners, she does it all the time. This is her wheelhouse in our HR group. So that's really all I have right now. Does anybody else have anything? Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor Colograph, just want to share a little insight from our infrastructure committee meeting today. We did meet at 5:40 p.m. And there is one action item that we wanted to recommend to the full council based on the discussion from Mr. Gelati, our village engineer. The village has to have a community development block grant public meeting in order for us to participate in that county program. And the recommendation from Mr. Gelati, which the committee did vote on, is to have that on November 1st. So there's things he needs to do in order for that to happen. So we want to recommend that to the full council and the mayor for us to move forward with that meeting on November 1st. Community Development Block Grant Public Hearing. In addition to that, the note for you and Mr. Spitzenagel, we talked about some of the residential road resurfacing, and the good news is that over the last few years, we've the village has made significant progress in our secondary roads or residential roads. This year, Barclay Estates and Rotary Drive next year are scheduled. However, with the timing of grant applications, Mr. Gelati says it might be July or August when those projects will take place. So we know there's a big community event that takes place. Some years it's in June, and some years it's in September. I just want to make you guys make sure you and the rec committee is aware that we may have some side roads torn up in the middle of the summer while you're planning
Garage sale,
for the garage sale.
August this year it was, so.
Right.
Okay.
So I just want to put that on the table that, we could have some roads torn up in that time of the year. Other than that, had a great meeting. We went over the 5-year plan for resurfacing roads, which includes Alexander Phase 3, crack sealing, and other resurfacing, grant applications for the county, and things like that. So it was a great meeting, and we have that one item that we wanted to present to the full council, recommending November 1st, public hearing for the community development block grant hearing.
Okay, so, Mr. Whedon and the Infrastructure Committee, so that would be November 1st would be our COW meeting, so we would have that meeting probably before the COW meeting?
You could do
Correct.
either the last 2 years, we've either done before or embedded in.
Yeah,
So whatever
Okay.
you-
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
November 1st is also the Economic Development meeting that would start at 5:30.
Oh, that's next week, I thought.
No,
Oh, sorry.
no, it's November 1st, so I would suggest that we have that, and then right at 7 o'clock, we could have that public meeting, which only takes the reading of it to do, and we could roll into the COW meeting after that.
that's fine. Can do that. Yeah, so we'll get it. Yes,
One other comment, Mayor, is we also talked about some other projects, including Village Hall, this municipal center, and the condition of the roof here, and wanting to have some discussion at our next Finance Committee meeting, and before we get into budgeting, about that particular project.
We'll be getting into budgeting because it's already October, so if we,
Right.
yeah.
do we,
sooner the better.
do we want to talk about any finances?
Well, Joe and I didn't speak anything about the building when we met Friday. We were talking more road program, so
Do you want to talk about anything Tuesday? Or do you
I won't
wanna
be
wait?
here next Tuesday.
Okay,
I
okay,
won't
so
be at
then,
that meeting.
all right, then we'll look at it in November then.
I mean, we've got, well, yeah, I mean, whenever you're putting your other council meeting. you just don't know.
Right, right. We can have a finance committee before any of those
Mr.
meetings too.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I was going to ask for a finance meeting the second week of November,
oh, okay, that's
um,
fine.
but that would be normally November 8th.
That's our
which is the
election day,
election
yeah.
night, and if we decide not to have the council meeting, I just want to give everybody a heads up, I'll send an email out to all of council, but I would suggest either doing it the 9th, if we don't need the COW meeting the 9th, if we could just make that starting at 6, a finance meeting then, because we need to start budget and there's a lot of things.
I could do 6 and then
Okay.
later.
That's
So-
fine, I mean, does everybody pretty much, do you want November 8th off? Is that, well, look at everybody's calendar. We got next week still, we got time to make a decision. Everybody look at their calendars. That will also give us some time when we find out from Brickler about that piece of legislation too. So, okay, so we'll start looking at.
Again, I'll send an email out, reminding everyone and stuff,
Okay.
so we can figure out. I know Brian has got to check his schedule for sure, and I'm sure
Right.
everybody else does, as do I.
Right, we'll make it work.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
So, Mayor, we've got, just so you're aware, because I know you keep talking about pushing the council meeting, but we've got 4 Tuesdays in this month.
Right,
So even if you didn't have your council meeting for these items, on the 18th, you've still got the 25th.
but Brian, you couldn't do the 25th, you could do the 24th, though, that's a Monday.
I can do the 24th, I won't be here the 25th, but four council members is.
Yeah,
quorum.
no,
But
exactly.
And I do appreciate what you're.
You could always send a letter with
trying
your
to-
support to,
Sure,
or an
I do
email, or,
appreciate it very much, Mayor and Council, trying to wiggle that.
well, why don't everybody look at their calendar, and then we can shore it up. See what everybody thinks. Right. Take a look and see. Okay, any other business? Anybody else have any other business they want to talk about?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I was just wondering, you had brought up Lori and HR. Have we had any applicants yet on Angela's position?
Angela hasn't posted yet.
No, we're
She's
very,
still finishing up
we're very
we needed a
close
lot
to
of
post.
tweaking on the job description. It was very general. I'm not sure how it was posted last time since we ended up with an internal candidate, but it was last updated in '09, which was even actually prior to Katie taking the position. So it was a very general job description.
We're hoping to get it posted
Yes,
this
I can
week.
hopefully have it posted before the end of the week,
That's our goal.
and then we'll see.
Yeah.
I do have the next one lined up, ready to go, though. The accountant slash tax auditor one didn't need as much tweaking, so that one I have ready
Right,
to go.
Mr. Whedon was asking me about that, but that one
But
we're
gonna wait
going,
until the fiscal officer's in place.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we can share that job description. If you got that complete.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can always share it with council too, you know, because you were,
That would be
Mr. Whedon was inquiring about if you want to see the job. I got an idea of that role. What else are we gonna talk about when it comes to that?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
had also wondered if, along with that, if we'll be getting Report 52 for the end of third quarter here soon?
Yes.
Because we're now in fourth quarter.
Yes, yes.
So we need updated numbers and
You
stuff,
will,
especially.
yes. Sorry, I'm only here, 'cause there's so much that's,
No.
nowadays, so I'm working on it.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just, I'd like to have it for a week or two, at
Yeah,
least prior to a
absolutely.
finance meeting,
You will.
especially.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so I'd like to get it within the next week or two.
yeah, yeah. Through third quarter.
What else? Anybody have anything else under other
guess-
business?
I guess
Go ahead.
I just had a question, Mayor, related to the compensation survey, especially after just hearing from Angela regarding the fiscal officer position having to be seriously tweaked.
Not enough info in it, not enough duties, not enough, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that happens, it happens over time. So will this compensation survey also include a classification review of other existing job descriptions to see if they are actually, see if they're in line with 2022?
That's why I'm waiting to see Sonia's proposal, because when me and Lori talked, she talked to Sonia, and there was a couple different ways. First of all, was, are we doing all the employees, including the collective bargaining employees, the employees in the CBA agreement? So those are some of those things. Talking to Lori, our thing was we're gonna do everybody. But I wanted, I want to see the proposals first and share them, talk with council about it and stuff. So it would include every position.
Okay, thank you.
That was, because I don't know why we wouldn't include the CBA. I guess it would help us with our negotiations too. It's not a bad thing. So, but yeah, it would be everybody. The only ones we weren't, like I said, Ray, was Mr. Whedon and council was in the collective bargaining agreement. The members of the collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you.
But, Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
Two things real quick that I believe I copied you on the emails. Joe Gelati worked on the ODNR grant application we got from ODNR for the T.G. Young Park, the tennis courts and pickleball courts. And he sent me, which I copied the committee and the mayor on, well, actually Joe copied you on the information that he sent. He sent plot diagrams that they wanted and everything, so we can incorporate all that stuff into the guide that we have to send to ODNR in order for them to release the funds. And I'm putting wording together, they want some narratives in there, a couple questions about what we're doing and all that, so I'll put that wording together. And I'd like to have a recreation committee meeting. We can get together on some dates just to finalize that package that we would send in, or recommend to the mayor to send in. And I've also emailed Rob Kalman and Joe Gelati. There's a couple questions in that guide about timelines and breaking down the costs and things like that. So Mr. Gelati and Rob are more used to working with these types of projects more than we are. So I reached out to them for their expertise in getting a timeline for not only the specific project itself in the spring, but whether or not we should wait to submit this thing to ODNR until we got either some idea from companies what, like a bid proposal, should we go out for proposals first? Or they have enough expertise that they can gauge that pretty closely, and we can just send it in so they can release the money to us, so it's ready to use when we're ready to use it. So I reached out to them for their judgment on that. Also, for the information committee, I'd like to have get together with another quick meeting. I did get a response from PostNet. They sent a updated proposal for the village directory. There's a slight cost increase, but we can talk about that at the committee, and the idea is whether the committee wants to send it to the full body of council for a recommendation to just accept it, or go out for full bids like we did last time. So that's where that process is.
Very good. Just to kind of add to that, and I know we've kind of talked a little bit, as everybody knows, we did apply for a grant through through the county, through our county councilman, Jack Schron, and it looks like we've been slated for 250, a pre-approval for 250,000 for the sidewalk, but it still has to go through the county council for approval. So that's why I don't want to say for sure yet, but it looks very good. But with that said, and the communities in our district submitted different projects, I know I shared with the members here that maybe we should widen that scope a little bit. I'm even thinking maybe we should even, some communities submitted more than one project, and they got a little bit, a couple communities got a little bit of each. We've talked about that, the walkway up at the park, and maybe that is one we maybe should, get. I'm thinking about having Joe get a quote for that, him and Rob, what it would do to redo the walkway. Maybe that would be submitted. Also talk maybe for this roof here too. I don't know if this fits quite in there, but just seeing some of the projects, to me, it seemed like it was a little wider. There will be another round coming up here. So we have another opportunity for some more, to receive another grant, or maybe 2 grants, or, so I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, because I know we got a good grant for the park, and we'd like to do things, but maybe it'd be nice if we got even a little more money, a different grant to kind of maybe do the walkway too, combine it, So, because I know Rob said, well, we'll try to stretch it, but money just doesn't go that far anymore, especially when it comes to oil products and things like that, anything to do with gas products. The price of everything is so high now. Labor's one thing, but material's high. So I just want to throw that out there. So that's something we'll probably all be talking about too. So any other
Yeah, Mayor.
Go ahead,
Piggybacking on their infrastructure meeting, and Councilman Whedon was on the call with Joe and I briefly on Friday. And then when you hung up, we went over the plan as well. So I had asked everyone, previous meeting, to start thinking about any new money that's going to need to go along with the note. All of the documents that were required by OMAP were sent over last week.
bless you.
So everything's kind of in process just to start getting a jump start on the renewal of what we've got. I gave them our pay downs based on the budget amount. We budgeted $140,000. So the various projects, I gave the list to Catherine Schwartz of Bricker of what our pay downs will be. And so with that new road project, we're looking at between $475,000 and $485,000 that I'm going to assume you're gonna want to put on as new money. And then the only other thing, that being said, your piece for Barclay Estates, that's half grant, half loan from OPWC, is a package deal. So we would get all, or we could get nothing. So we hopefully would get all of it. But you know, you're gonna commit to some money now, and God forbid we don't get all that later, you might have to do some rearranging on how we're gonna get Barclay done at, you know, double the cost of what we thought. So, just some food for thought, because I'm probably gonna need the, you know, answers at the end of the month on this, because usually we do everything. And hopefully, as a matter of fact, I'll check in with them tomorrow, because we probably got, you know, legislation getting drafted, and Catherine will wait on me to say yes or no on new money. To draft a piece of legislation for you guys to have and look at it and decide if you want to vote on it or not.
And with that said, that's a good, when I did talk to Tom today, he did say he was in conversations with Matt, and what we talked about before, we'll have to see where that's at, and maybe see where, if those things go through, when would that money come in? Maybe that will
My
also.
guess will be not till 2024.
Well, we'll see, well, but let me,
Having talked
maybe
about
we'll
it
have
with
Matt,
the-
yeah, maybe I'll have Matt at a, we have a special council meeting, do a executive session until it comes out. So that, what we talked about is still moving forward, just so you know. That is not, that is far from, that is all moving forward.
Communications today.
Yeah, Matt and Tom are working on that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
in our committee meeting, Councilman Whedon wanted me to say that Mr. Gelati did not have on his package here, but he wanted us to think about, he would recommend doing a parking lot, the Village Hall parking lot crack sealing, for an additional $10,000 in what's already marked on here. So that would bring that up to $488,000.
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
In
Jennifer.
thinking about new money, during that infrastructure meeting too, Mr. Coleman brought up the fact of our roof. 5 years ago, it would have cost us almost $100,000 less than what it would cost us today, which is $400,000. So the amount of repairs, seeing as how the roof is literally falling on Mr. Spitznagel's head, we need to have a serious discussion about that too. Because the guys did repair it,
That's why I got
but it's
nothing
only gonna be
left.
temporary. My understanding is that the rubberized coating has actually shrunk. So there's only so much that they can do as repairs, so that's going to have to be a huge consideration.
So we'll have to think about timing, as the mayor mentioned, if we've got round two potentially coming through that other program, and we throw it out there to see if it'll stick to do a roof, I don't think we could do the roof. You know, we'd have to hold off on doing the roof regardless, right? Because we don't want to, we wouldn't be able to do a roof and take grant money and pay that back if we already took new money for it. That won't work that way. So I don't know if we have a way to somehow get a feel if we think we're gonna get grant money on it, I wouldn't put it in new money. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Right.
I don't know what the timeline is for awarding that second round of grant.
But if we took the new money and we did not use it, couldn't we just pay that off in November of '23?
We have to earmark it, don't we?
You could. Well, it
Yeah,
is
doesn't the grant
earmarked.
have to be,
The grant will be earmarked, the legislation will also be earmarked, and
Right.
so, correct, I mean, if you didn't use it, yes, I will just double check that for her, with Stifle, about if we take money and it doesn't get used, do we just, can we just pay it all back? And so, we're done. I don't see why not, but
Well, Mr.
we
Whedon,
are also looking at a like, the rate we're going with, it's not our definitive rate right now, but because rates have gone up, they're gauging it to be about a 6% interest rate on the year, so that's a substantial increase over the past few years, rates for borrowing.
and that's why the whole picture with the redevelopment, with NPK, Ford Innovation Center East, we have to look at that too, because there might, we might say, okay, we're gonna borrow a little more this year, but we're gonna be able to pay down a lot more in '24. Okay, so I mean, those are things we'll have to think about. Now, I know, when I was talking to Mr. Kalman about the roof, he did, because of course, we know it would have to go out for bid, but he did have a quote from a few years ago, and he contacted the guy, and the guy said it would be 10% more than what it was. So we do have an idea what that amount is too, right? Correct. He did share, okay, yeah, and I think, so we can get you the quote, so.
But, Mr. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, we did talk about taking out money for a roof last year and did not do it.
Correct. And again, though, I was under the
Now it's
understanding
falling.
last year that we weren't taking any more money for roads either, so I understand that we're in a kind of a situation of how else are we gonna do it right now?
Well, the difference is, between last year and this year, we didn't have,
You didn't, but keep in
We
mind, that's
didn't.
not gonna take care of side roads, that's only gonna take care of paving.
no, I know, but, just the whole, we just gotta, we had nothing at the corner, we had nothing going on, we had a lot of, this might happen, and then January 1st came, and we got a new owner of a new property, and here we are, 10 months later with a building coming out of the ground. Okay, there's a big difference. We're in a very, very positive thing. Now, that's why we need to have the conversation with Matt at the same time, just so you kind of can think, or we wait, we'll have to see. I think it's all gonna be very positive.
Hey, Colruyt?
Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Ray. The timeline of when decisions have to be made for new money to use?
So again, as we talked about last year, ideally, we would roll it all in right now, because then we're avoiding all those additional costs of bond counsel and administrating, getting everything set up for the loan. You could always take money later, you're just gonna pay double on all that stuff to go out and do it all again. So, our timelines, I'm gonna have legislation for you for probably, maybe even next week. I'll see what the road program, if that's where we're at with things, and you think we may do it, then it's best off to just have Catherine go ahead and prep the legislation so that you have it in front of you. Because we usually, everything takes place in the beginning of November. We pay off the old note and we get refunded in the beginning of November, which is why OMAP had their deadline for information from us, of October 3rd in terms of financials and things, from the audit that they did, from the previous audit. So by the end of this month, if there's one or two or whatever, however many things you think you want new money for, the sooner you know, the better.
I think, just, boy,
I can have a draft roof legislation, again, we've got it sitting out there from last year.
this is all such a very good conversation, because think about this, okay? So Catherine Schwartz from Brickler and Eckler, she does our notes, and then we're having, Matt is going to use Brickler and Eckler for the other projects we talked about, okay? So maybe them talking can really give a good picture of what, you know what I mean? Because they're seeing the future, and then Catherine is seeing what's existing. So maybe we'll even have them come to a meeting or something. Let me think, let's think about all this too. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I've had some conversations behind the scenes with Joe Rowe and not Matt, but, Tom. So, I mean, timing wise, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see.
Let me talk to them again as well.
Right.
I don't,
So
it's just not gonna
it's
be.
kind of,
immediate.
it's kind of, right, but I agree with you, Angela, we gotta get it rolling, but the good thing is, we got them involved in both items. So they can really, Catherine can really give you a better picture of that, talking of price fin, yeah, that too, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
With all that being said, then how would everybody feel about a finance meeting on October 25th instead at 6 PM?
Check.
Because it sounds like we've got a lot to go through and we need to do it before these notes.
I'm available.
Well, you'll need to be, but that's the other thing. So if you're gonna move a council meeting, it can't be into the beginning of November, because we're gonna have to vote on notes prior to that. Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah,
It can be a different day of the week, but that, usually this October council meeting is what we vote on.
That would be on the 25th?
but I don't think that's a deadline.
No, that is the deadline.
October what is the deadline? I thought
I'll
we
have to
passed
go
it,
look.
in November.
No, everything's done in November, Mayor. I just explained that. Like,
No,
money's
but
already changing
I,
hands in November.
I know, but I'm telling you, whatever, okay, we'll find
It's
that out.
changing hands in November.
I thought we'd gone into a little later.
No, we can't. We're going on a timeline with, so, I mean, again, unless you want to take different money later and only deal with renewing.
Right, right.
Then I would ask to push it up a week ahead of that. Brian, are you
I
available on
probably
the
won't be
19th?
ready for that. I won't be ready. There's no way.
No, I'm not,
Be able
available
to
that
job.
whole week.
Maybe, but I'm,
The only day I'm available that week. No, I'm in Dallas that whole week.
Well, we can still have, there's no,
I'm available,
I mean, you can have one that's not gonna go.
I'm
over.
available the week before, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th.
I will not.
that's next
do
week.
that. I won't be here Tuesday for sure. I mean, if the finance meeting is gonna be specifically to talk about note stuff and new money, I'm ready anytime. I won't have your financials ready, maybe by the 19th, like that week, but,
Well, I think
I
we'd be
certainly
better,
won't
I
have
think
thought
we'd
of
be
that.
better off separating them out.
well,
think-
that's up to you. We could
don't
have
you
two
think?
finance meetings. I don't.
At least we'd have an idea with the notes, what it would be with the roof, Barclay Estates, and what Catherine comes up with.
I believe last year our roof, we had another 400,000 in, did we not?
Yes, it was
Very
approximately.
Yeah, we have the quote here. You know, which would be close, I mean, you
So
gotta
you're,
send it out.
so
for
you're
bid.
looking at new money of 400,000 and.
$1 million.
It would be $1 million.
It'd be
The
$1
only
million.
thing to be determined, and I can probably come up with that figure this week for you, is gonna be like, what are we paying down? What do we have to pay down on? I can ask Catherine next year, given what we're paying down this year, what do we have to pay down? Because we do have required amounts to pay down on certain things. And then where would that leave us for how much we're gonna do?
Well, and that's why I think a finance meeting was important also prior to that, so we know where the village is standing before we go and decide to take out $1 million.
Oh, yeah,
worth of
well, you
debt.
gotta do that, but at least you know.
Yeah.
You at least, that's gonna, to make a decision, that's a big deal. But either way, you gotta get all of it together anyways. I mean, you gotta know what's the worst scenario, what if we broke it down, we're hoping to get the grant for Barclay along with the 0% interest loan. Then we wouldn't have to worry about putting it on the notes, but we'd like to know what the worst
Well, the
scenario
Barclay's
is.
gonna go on the notes with Barclay, that's the piece of it that we owe, you understand? 'Cause
Right.
that's not paid for in full. With the grant and the loan, we still owe on Barclay.
Right.
So that piece is part of that package of 488 with the crack filling in.
Well,
I can email you guys deadline information and.
deadline and what days you're available, Angela,
Yeah.
what we don't want to get together if we don't have it all in front of us. Right? We want to have a
Yeah,
productive
no,
meeting.
Yeah,
We want to have a
we need
productive
to have
meeting.
all the information together.
Exactly. So let's talk to Catherine. That will give me time to talk to Matt and Tom, and then we have numbers at least in front of us,
Yeah. we rather remember.
so we can give Catherine that,
Yeah, I'll give her those.
which would be our worst scenario if we had to finance it. Correct? We'll go from there.
Mayor, need a meeting next week then, or do we need a meeting next week if we don't have a, we put that meeting off if we don't, I don't know, just thinking. You guys need information.
I have nothing,
I won't be here for it. The only other new thing that's gonna be coming on the horizon will be your, package renewal for insurance, which I haven't heard from Joyce yet, but I'll reach out to her, cause that's usually passed through November. So if you want that to come sooner rather than later, or if that's enough time even for them to retouch base with the insurance company.
right, right. What do you think? You guys think we need you want to, I have nothing right now.
And I'm good for shifting for the other 2 weeks if you need something, like 2 weeks, really any day of the week for them.
There's no rush on the legislation either, so, yeah, wait on that for a little while.
Well, we can, it's up to the council. Or we can have it.
We could tentatively schedule it, and if we decide not to have it, we can cancel it. correct?
Yeah. Why don't we, everybody take a, we got we got to look at dates. Let me I'll talk to the department heads, make sure that Stan, Rob, and Natalie or Joe, we don't have anything, and Angela, make sure we'll look at everything, make sure we don't have anything that needs to be talked about Tuesday. And if there's nothing there, then we'll let you know, and if there's something you guys think about. Yeah, because nothing here.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the only thing, with the Smith and Noby thing, we're putting that on first reading tonight, correct?
Mm-hmm.
My only thing, my thought is, we want to, I don't believe any of us, or none of us has stated any concerns or issues with not voting for approval of that. So I'm just thinking about the optics of it, of us waiting on it for weeks and weeks without passing it. What does that send to the company? Do they care? Or would it be, in our interest as far as a gesture to them that, hey, we got this done?
It comes down to the schools.
That's
Whether or
what
not
we're
we need to
waiting
give
for.
notice to the
Yeah.
schools
That's what we're waiting for.
or
Yeah.
clarify.
Since we're gonna put out first reading, we're not gonna make the 14 days Tuesday, we're gonna go into it. We might as well, so yeah, we're not worried about that. Like, actually, before that subject came up, we were kind of hoping to get it, as we talked about passing it tonight, and Smith and Noby didn't have it all complete.
Okay.
So they know on our end, go ahead, John.
Well, and also, they weren't expecting it next week either. They were, if anything, they might be expecting it at the regular council meeting, but another week isn't gonna, it's all, the deal's done. It's just a matter of approving their transfer. It's not holding up anything on their end, as far as I understand. It's just getting the work done. So another week or so here or there isn't gonna matter. But maybe on 11/1, it sounds like you might have a meeting. Maybe we do it on that meeting, special council, unless we have to have a special council for the notes.
Yeah, we haven't approved any plans. Planning Commission hasn't seen the plans yet. So there is some time, it's gotta go through the process. Rob and Joe haven't approved any plans. They look at them first, then they send them to planning. So, yeah, good thought, but I think we're okay there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay there. But the only thing I'm thinking about is, that's why let's think about it, because I'm gonna see what Mr. Jordan says. He might want to have Matt here to talk about what's going on. Maybe that might be a meeting we might have there, because I know there's been quite a bit of discussion there. So I don't know if we have to take any action on any of that. So that's very important. That's very, very important. So I'll communicate with Jennifer, and then Jennifer can communicate with council, and we can go from there. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good, good, good stuff. You know, we've done so, and I just want to say, I think it's important, we've done so well and stayed in the black and have been very cautious on issuing debt in the village, and we don't have a real lot of debt compared to a lot of communities. So, I know Jennifer, you mentioned it, you know, we were conservative, but now we're gonna be paying a little more. So, I mean, I guess we need to take a good, strong look about, you know, those projects and issuing some debt. With that in mind, though, that's why I want Mr. Jordan and Matt, that if we see something good at the following year, or, you know, our revenue really increasing, which I think we're gonna see that. I think, you know, we've seen just with that, just with our permitting fees, with the money, we're gonna see some good revenue when they come in for the final permit. That permit fees are gonna be, help with our budget too, so I think it's important not only to look at the existing, but see what is ahead of us, which is real. It's not a projection. You know, it's real. So I think Matt will be able to clear some of that up. So let me find out if him and Tom need to have a meeting too. That might be another one to get out of the way, you know, because it's all part of this. So I'll make a note of that. Okay, any other questions or anybody else under other business from the residents, any residents that are here, any residents that are watching the live stream?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
In talking about this debt and everything else, also Rob had mentioned that he was going to need 2 new pickup trucks to approximately $80,000 if he was able to keep the chipper. And the chipper is going to end up costing more money, so it's just something I think that we need to find out about, because specifically those trucks, unlike the dump trucks, cannot be on a municipal lease.
so you want quotes for 2 trucks?
Because the timeline with the dump trucks has been 16 months, 18 months. And I don't know what the timeline may be with those. I'm just saying, if we're looking at this debt and this is something that Rob's going to need, then that's something that maybe we should consider, because we cannot do it as a municipal lease on the smaller
I'm just a
vehicles.
little concerned it hasn't even been mentioned to me yet. So that we know
He
it's
only
budget
just
time.
mentioned it tonight.
Okay. Pickups, I mean, I can tell you that the timeline is a lot shorter. It was a little bit farther out when chips were an issue, and my husband ordered a truck to lease last year thinking it was gonna take forever, and within 3 weeks he had the truck, so,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
gonna
just-
be the same scenario as the dump truck,
Sure.
that's for sure.
Sure, but just so if he could check into that, so we would know, if he could check with him.
We'll have them give us two quotes for the trucks. And Angela, that's what's important about your job. You are tight and conservative with the money, and that's what makes a good fiscal officer, because it keeps us in line, because at the same time, you know, we rely on you to help us balance the budget. So I appreciate you being very conservative.
We did not buy any new police cars this year so far, just throwing that out there, I'll have to ask Stan.
Yeah, that's what, I'll talk to Rob about
We
the
budgeted-
trucks.
we budgeted one, I believe.
I will ask the other department heads if they see any other capital expenses
Sure. and
that need to,
with the police vehicles too, that fund is down quite a bit this year compared to last year.
Right, and we budgeted for, you know, did we have 140,000, I want to say roughly, because we thought we may have, or 180, we thought we had to purchase a pickup, right? Or, I mean, a dump truck. So we had agreed to budget to purchase one dump truck, and then found out we could lease. So that money may still be there.
Right, that's, me and Mr. Whedon had that,
Yeah.
conversation about that, and also some of the, opera money.
Well, that I have to, yeah, we need to spend that by the end of 24, but
Right.
we still gotta get a handle on.
But
Yeah,
we-
I
but
don't
we-
know that covers it.
Right, but we haven't allocated
We
that.
haven't allocated anything.
So that's a question
We haven't allocated it.
and how much is that amount?
We're talking about close to 250, just
236.
248.
200,
236,
248,000, correct?
237 maybe, even because we had a tiny little bit come in between everything when they redistributed for people who didn't claim it.
So that's the thing, and I know they broadened that, so that, I'm gonna find out a little more about that too. And
They
see what-
broadened it. A lot of cities were kind of given leeway, so to speak. And I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying, like, in looking at what other cities were doing, they were being very charitable to their businesses and to other, areas in their cities.
Is this funds that would be able to be used towards the roof?
No, they can't be used toward infrastructure like that. I don't believe so.
No, but,
Or I would
but they
want
have
that
broadened
fund.
it, and we'll look at that too. So I'm.
It was meant for infrastructure like broadband. That was a for sure. That was always a for sure, always on the table, never came off
Right.
the table, right? So if you needed to expand broadband in your village, amen, you can use all the money for that or some of the money for that. It was meant to, if we wanted to give kind of a little stipend or thank you to workers such as grocery store workers or things like that, people in your area that stayed over through COVID and kept working, some people who made $12 an hour or less. Those were just some of the things that were out there for use of the funds. So, yeah, I gotta kind of go revisit that because we've been sitting on it and not really making a decision on what to do with it. We thought we might have to look at doing something with the park, but now we've got the grant, so.
No, we're
Let me
gonna,
take a look at the big giant document, that was the final rule. From the
that's
state-
also
the
something
state on how we-
probably could ask Catherine about too. She might have some insight about that.
You don't know what Bedford did with them.
I could find out.
Yeah, I can talk to them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
talk,
curious what other cities around us.
we'll get all that.
But like I said, a lot were being charitable. We could have technically said, we've got residents that can't afford to pay their mortgage. We could have, granted out money to them for their mortgage. So anything, like, it could have been anything like that.
Well, I don't mean to be this way, but the village has to take care of itself right now too.
Right,
So-
so,
Let's see what we can do with those funds.
and again, you've got till the end of 2024 to spend them all.
Right,
to spend them
I know,
all.
we got time on that. Which is a good thing. So there's some, that's what I'm saying, village has problems, but they're good problems. Finally, we got some good problems. Okay, finally, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, we're seeing some development, we have ways of getting new revenue. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Just a little feedback, Tom, I'm talking to Tom a little bit in between in the evenings while he's at this conference, and it's in Columbus. There's people from all over the state, and our area is a big talk. It's just, about industry. It's, and everybody keeps telling him, I don't think that building at 249,000 square feet doesn't have an owner yet, or they wouldn't be building it. So hopefully their speculation is right. So I feel the same way. I think we're gonna have people going in and out of there before you know it, so. Okay, any other business? Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment of the COW meeting.
Second,
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 vote on the motion.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:14 PM. Does anybody, council need to, thank you, everybody's 5-0, does council need to take a break, or are you ready to go right into the council meeting?
I'm ready to go into the council.
Everybody
I'm
good?
ready to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Okay. Like to start the special council meeting of the Village of Walton Hills of Tuesday, October 4, 2022 at 8:14 PM. Roll call.
Councilman Nielsen?
Here.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes, here.
Councilwoman Allen? Here. Councilman Whedon?
Here.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Here.
All council present, along with our fiscal officer, Angela Reve, our law solicitor, John Montello.
Bear with me, I did two separate links. We
Oh,
could, we
okay.
could just stay on, but I did create two separate links.
Well, maybe it'll clear this up.
So let me end stream and get into.
All residents watching, we're gonna go to our
Go to
other
the new
link.
link.
It doesn't go off completely.